A central Paris railway station at the height of the rush hour. Thousands of passengers head for home. Suddenly, a runaway train hurtles towards the station. 307 tons of crashing metal slam into a packed commuter train. 56 people die. It's Paris's worst ever train crash. Now, using advanced computer simulations, we reveal exactly what led to tragedy at the Gare de Lyon. Disasters don't just happen, they're a chain of critical events. Unravel the clues and count down those final seconds from disaster. Europe, France, Paris. June 27th, 1988. A summer's evening in the French capital. Paris is the focal point of the French rail network. The French are proud of their rail system. It's one of the biggest in Europe, with over 34,000 kilometers of track. 6:20 p.m. The 5:38 inbound commuter service from Melun to Paris Gare de Lyon station is running on time. It's a 40-kilometer journey, which takes 50 minutes. It's an 8-carriage train. And in the driver's cab is 42-year-old Daniel Solin. He's worked for SNCF, the French National Railway, since he was 15. Jean Beauvais is the guard on the train. He's another old hand who also joined the SNCF straight from school. So far, it's been a routine trip. But at 6:36 p.m., 8 kilometers outside Paris, as the train passes through Gare de Lyon station, something unexpected happens. A young woman in the second carriage leaps up and pulls the emergency cord. A bell in Solin's cab tells him someone has pulled the cord, automatically activating the brakes. The woman slips from the train and disappears. Before the train can set off again, Solin needs to reset the alarm and rearm the brakes. It's an all too familiar procedure.
Emergency cords are often pulled, and the driver or the guard, which was me, resets the alarm.
It should only take a few minutes, but nevertheless, Solin radios the control room to alert them to the holdup. 6:40 p.m. Most of the passengers, fearing a long delay, leave the train to find another way to complete their journey. The remaining few resign themselves to a late arrival in Paris. Gare de Lyon is the Paris rail station serving the south and east of the country. It's one of France's busiest railway stations. The nerve center, coordinating all train movements, is the station's control room. Duty manager tonight is André Tollens. He's in charge of safety and ensuring that the 360 trains into and out of the station run as smoothly as possible. 6:45 p.m. Hurrying towards Gare de Lyon station to catch a train home is commercial assistant Colette Pacalet. Colette is a recently divorced single mother, and she's anxious to get back to her son, 13-year-old Nicholas.
When I finish work, I automatically hurry back to take care of my son. I fix him something to eat and help him with his homework.
7:02 p.m. Solin has now fixed the brakes and the train is ready to depart for Paris. The train is now 26 minutes behind schedule. Controller Tollens instructs Solin to skip the next scheduled stop, Maison-Alfort, and travel non-stop to Gare de Lyon to make up time. But Solin's late train isn't Tollens' only headache. 7:04. There's now a problem on one of the commuter trains due to leave Gare de Lyon. Commuter trains have a driver and a guard. Driver André Tanguy is ready to go, but the guard is running late. Without him, the train can't leave. It's good news for single mother Colette Pacalet. She was worried that she would miss her train, so she's relieved it hasn't left. All the passengers and their driver Tanguy can do is sit and wait for the guard to arrive. 7:07 p.m. Solin's inbound train is now traveling at over 95 kilometers per hour. A yellow signal warns him he should start to slow down. Just ahead is a steep gradient leading into Gare de Lyon station. He applies the brakes, but there is barely any response. To his horror, Solin realizes that his brakes aren't working. He can't slow his train down. The 300-ton train is hurtling out of control. 7:07 p.m. and 30 seconds. Solin radios a desperate warning to the control room.
Stop everything, I've got no brakes. Stop everything, I've got no brakes.
Panicking, Solin hits the train's radio alarm signal. It can't be heard by passengers who are still unaware of the danger. But it activates a high-pitched audio alarm in the Gare de Lyon control room and the drivers' cabs of all the commuter trains within the vicinity. Immediately, signalmen turn every green light to red. Drivers stop their trains wherever they are. Within seconds, the entire network grinds to a halt, apart from one train. Unable to do more from his cab, Solin hurries the remaining passengers to the rear of the train. At Gare de Lyon, the guard on the delayed outbound train has finally turned up. But now driver André Tanguy's signal switches to red. He has no idea what's going on, and the high-pitched whistle on his radio means he can't use it to find out. 7:08 p.m. The runaway train hits the beginning of the steep 4-degree gradient that leads into the station. It picks up speed on the sharp descent. Driver Solin manages to get all the passengers into the last carriage. They brace themselves for the inevitable impact. 7:08 and 30 seconds. Signal operators catch sight of the runaway train rushing past them. It's heading straight for Tanguy's packed commuter train. The signalmen immediately issue a warning over the station's public address system to evacuate the train.
Attention, attention.
André Tanguy hears it. He shouts over the train's intercom to evacuate the train fast. Passengers scramble to reach the doors. 7:08 and 45 seconds. Tanguy sees the runaway train heading straight for him. Instead of jumping clear, he bravely stays on the intercom, repeating his warning to passengers. Seconds later, 307 tons of runaway train smash into the commuter train on platform 2. On the runaway train, all the passengers have made their way to the rear. Most escape without serious injury. But those still on Tanguy's stationary train do not fare so well. Tanguy doesn't stand a chance. The impact kills him instantly. Single mother Colette Paquelet is in the front carriage, which takes the full impact of the crash. Just seconds ago, Colette was looking forward to spending the evening with her young son. Now she lies trapped in the wreckage with dozens of other severely injured passengers.
I don't realize that I'm crushed under the metal, or that a train has crashed into us. All that I'm thinking is that I want to get off the train.
7:20 p.m. 11 minutes after the disaster, the first rescue workers arrive at the Gare de Lyon. The scale of the disaster quickly becomes apparent. Rescue workers estimate there are over 100 people trapped in the crushed and twisted train. The crumpled metal of the train prevents rescuers from reaching many of the survivors. The medics can only stand by while the emergency workers use cutting equipment and steam hammers to get through the tangled mass of steel. Finally, the rescue team is able to free Colette Paquelet from the metal seats trapping her. Once on the platform, the full extent of Colette's injuries becomes apparent. Doctors fear she may not make it through the night. The mayor of Paris, Jacques Chirac, and the Minister of Transport visit the scene of the crash. The rail operator SNCF is a state-owned company. They want answers, and they want them quickly. Parisians grieve for the people killed in the Gare de Lyon train crash. It's the worst rail disaster in the French capital's history. But there is anger too. France has one of Europe's most sophisticated rail networks. There are many safety procedures in place to prevent an accident like this. How did such a major disaster strike here? The next day, the French government appoints a 6-man team to conduct a state investigation. Now, by rewinding events and going deep into that investigation, we can reveal what really happened at the Gare de Lyon. Why did the train's brakes fail? Why did no one reroute the train to safety? And why did many passengers on platform 2 find out too late that a runaway train was heading straight for them? Jean-Pierre Pascal is the investigation team's chief technical advisor. He's head of the National Research Laboratory of Transport and an expert on rail braking systems.
This accident at the Gare de Lyon is important because of the number of victims and the scale of the catastrophe. It was exceptional. It wasn't something that I could have even contemplated. I had never seen anything like it.
His first job is to examine the crashed train. He knows the brakes failed and needs to understand why. As he sifts through the wreckage, he immediately finds something suspicious. It appears a crucial brake valve has been closed. The investigators believe there's only one possible conclusion. Somebody must have closed the valve. Pascal realizes that whoever did this must have had specialist knowledge of the train's braking system. So he does not believe it bears the hallmarks of a terrorist attack. He questions the train's driver, Daniel Solin, and guard Jean Beauvais. Solin tells him the brakes were working fine for the first 58 minutes of the journey. They even bring the train to a quick stop when someone pulls the emergency alarm at Gare de Lyon. Could the person who pulled the emergency cord be involved? The media puts out an appeal to find who pulled the emergency cord. The day after the crash, Odile Miroir, a 21-year-old single mother, comes forward. Miroir explains that she normally takes this train to Gare de Lyon to pick up her children from school. She doesn't know that the new summer timetable means the train no longer stops there. Panicking about not being at school in time, she pulls the emergency cord. It automatically activates the brakes throughout the train. Investigator Jean-Pierre Pascal concludes that her actions are irresponsible, but not suspicious. Now Pascal probes the guard, Beauvais, about what happened after the train was abruptly halted at Gare de Lyon. Guard Beauvais tells him that he goes to reset the emergency cord handle, but the handle is stuck. He can't shift it.
At the time, you had to go between two carriages. There was a small handle. It wasn't easy.
The handle is also very close to the crucial brake valve lever that Pascal discovered had been moved. But neither man recalls anything untoward about the lever. The train driver Solin now has a go, but it's stuck fast. After several minutes of sweating, Solin finally shifts the handle, returning the brakes to normal. But when he returns to his cab, he discovers the brakes are still locked. Pascal is puzzled. Why didn't the standard resetting procedure unlock the brakes? He scrutinizes the layout of the braking system on the runaway train and discovers something intriguing. If the brake pipe lever is turned to the off position, a safety mechanism kicks in, keeping the brakes locked even after resetting the emergency cord. It's a fail-safe system to stop a train from going anywhere without pressurized brakes. Could Solin have closed the valve by mistake? Pascal examines his interview with Solan more closely.
When we asked him questions, he admitted it. He said, I touched that lever to help myself get a good grip. He did it to try and free the handle he thought was stuck.
While trying to reset the emergency cord handle, Solan inadvertently moves the brake pipe lever, accidentally closing it. Solan thinks he simply reset the emergency cord handle. But by closing the brake pipe valve, he's cut off the air supply from the engine that feeds the brakes throughout the train. The brakes in the last 7 carriages are now locked to the on position. But this gives Pascal another puzzle. If the brakes are left on, how does Solan get the train moving again? Standard procedure dictates that Solan should call out the engineers, who probably would have detected his terrible mistake. But anxious to get going, Solan ignores the rules and tries to unlock the brakes himself. But crucially, he doesn't realize that he's moved the brake lever and that the system is locked due to lack of pressure. Instead, he's convinced the brakes are locked because of another common problem. Solan believes there's an airlock in the brake system. This can sometimes happen when the emergency cord is pulled, causing too much pressure around the individual brakes. He thinks that if he can bleed some of it out, the airlock will dissipate and the brakes will unlock. It works. The brakes are freed. But Solan's actions are catastrophically misjudged. He has not cleared an airlock and reset the brakes to normal. Instead, he has bled away what precious little air there was left in the system. With no air left in the system, the train has barely any brakes. Solan is totally unaware of what he's done. He tells Pascal the brake system pressure gauge in his cab shows the correct reading. In fact, when Solan closed the main brake valve, he isolated the driver's carriage from the rest of the train. The gauge is actually only showing the pressure in the first carriage. 7:02 p.m. Solan finally sets off again for Paris's Gare de Lyon. He's anxious to make up time and quickly reaches over 100 kilometers per hour. But even now, there is still a chance to stop the train. According to the new summer timetable, there's one more scheduled stop at Maison Alfort, 6.5 kilometers from Gare de Lyon station. Maison Alfort is on level ground. Had Solan tried his brakes here, then he would have had plenty of time to come to a natural stop, a full 4 kilometers before reaching Paris. Pascal needs to find out why Solan didn't discover his brakes weren't working at Maison Alfort. He questions André Tollens, the duty controller at Gare de Lyon that night. The train is now running 26 minutes late and may throw other trains in the busy timetable off schedule. To make up lost time, Tollens orders Solan not to stop at Maison Alfort and to continue direct to Gare de Lyon. 6 minutes from disaster. Solan drives straight through the station. The last chance to use his brakes before the hill down into Gare de Lyon is lost. Even now, Solan still has one last chance to slow down the runaway train. The investigators know that his train has an auxiliary electric-powered brake system. It's designed to slow trains going at high speed to save wear on the brake pads. The auxiliary brakes are operated from the driver's cab, right under Solan's nose. Why doesn't he use them? Solan was unaccustomed to using the electric brake, and in his panic, he simply forgot it was there. His terrible oversight means he loses his last chance to halt the runaway train. But one safety system still remains at the station. Pascal turns to the actions of the station staff. Standard procedure when faced with a runaway train is to identify it and divert it safely to an empty stretch of track. So why didn't this happen? 1.5 minutes from collision. Controller Tollens tells Pascal that he hears Solan's distress call over the radio.
Gare de Lyon, I've got no brakes. Gare de Lyon, I've got no brakes.
In any communication with the controller, the driver should give his name and position. But in his panic, Solant makes a terrible mistake. He doesn't identify himself. Tolance has no idea which train the distress call came from. All the controller knows is that the runaway train must be one of 4 trains bound for the underground platforms. But investigators are about to discover that even at this stage, disaster was still not inevitable. Pascal learns that the inbound train's route into the station should have been pre-programmed earlier that day, before the crisis. 500 meters before the station, a set of points on the track were supposed to automatically switch Solant's train off line 2S and into platform 1, which was empty. The runaway train would still have hit the buffers at the end of the track, but Pascal is convinced the crash would have been far less devastating.
In my opinion, no one would have been hurt. The train would have been wrecked, but there would have been no injuries.
Pascal probes the final moments leading up to the fatal collision. He discovers that when signalers hear the general alarm, the regulations demand that they initiate what's called the general closure procedure. But the closure procedure has drastic consequences that the signalers could not foresee. In order to give the signalers full manual control of the network, it overrides all automatic pre-programming of routes. The points no longer automatically reroute Solant's train into an empty platform. Instead, the points lock into their current position. The collision is now unstoppable. The disaster claims 56 lives. Pascal and the investigation team found that the main cause of the Gare de Lyon crash was driver error. But they also highlighted several technical and safety shortcomings in the rail system. Odile Miroir, who pulled the emergency cord, Daniel Sola, and controller André Tolance all faced criminal charges for their role in the accident. Tolance and Miroir were cleared. Daniel Sola served 6 months of a 4-year prison sentence for manslaughter. Survivor Colette Paquelet made a full recovery. However, she remains angry that the buck stopped with Sola, the runaway train driver.
La SNCF est fautive, mais je veux dire...
My feeling is that the SNCF is at fault. The SNCF as a whole.
C'est pas une personne, c'est pas 2 personnes.
It's not 1 person or 2 people. It's a whole bunch of things that went wrong that day.
Entre guillemets, ce jour-là, et voilà.
In the wake of the tragedy, SNCF introduced a raft of new safety measures. Hard lessons were learned from the tragic events at the Gare de Lyon. But France now has one of the safest and most technologically advanced rail networks in Europe.